As a book of God?
That's important.
Because you see, if you do not believe in the Bible as a book of God, then really not, you wouldn't take that. You'll say, okay, it's spiritual, it's good, it sounds nice, and you leave it there.
No,
But
it's not about that. It's not about it sounds nice.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound nice. That's not the
I mean, it
point.
sounds logical in the sense. When I say nice, that's what I meant.
It's not a book of God because God didn't write it down. So that's the first point.
No, you don't
Like,
have
there
to.
were people that wrote it down.
It's like, for example, if you quote someone, yes, it doesn't mean you said those things. So these are basically this is what, at least in the Quran, when we say this is a book from Allah, yes, these are literally His words. It's just that it wasn't written down by Him, i.e., he put his finger and he wrote it down. No, it was human beings who wrote it down. But then,
Help us understand.
really,
Well, it would, yeah.
how? In order for someone to dictate, yeah, I hope everyone does. In order for someone, if someone dictates to you something and you write it down, is that of importance or not importance?
That I wrote it down.
No, you heard someone
when I
and
went
you
to
wrote it
school
down.
And I
Yeah.
had to do these things.
Absolutely,
There were
yeah.
so many spelling
Yes.
mistakes and I messed up so badly and I got a really bad grade. So
No. I don't mean you.
Matter.
No, you misunderstood my question.
Yeah, but the translator, he always writes down something
Yeah.
a bit changed, a bit differently.
I think you misunderstood the point I was making. The point I was making is that imagine there's a boss and he dictates to his secretary, and the secretary writes it down. Yes. Is that still the words of the secretary, or sorry, is that the words of the secretary or the boss?
Not directly the words of the boss.
Thank you. Okay. So with regards to your point, regardless of who wrote it down, if this message is from God, then it will be God's message. Okay, that's how we understand it. As simple as that.
We get
Not,
how you
not,
get it.
not
We
very,
just don't
not
believe
very
it, that's the
complicated. It's very simple. It's very simple. If it is attributed to God, and Muhammad never said that I wrote it down, then it's clear that he did not write it down. These are not his words, even though the scribes wrote it down themselves, because there were human scribes who wrote it down, obviously. But they also do not claim it's their words. They all unanimously claim that these are the words of God. So based on that, we say that these are the words of God. Okay, so
Is it not the same with every other religion?
yes, it is. If they claim it's from God, actually, yeah, that's not funny. It's true.
Yeah.
For example, he read the Bible. Yes, the Christians claim that God did not write that down with His own hand. Okay, it's a message from God, and we have no problem with that. So I really don't know where the confusion is.
So here, I like to
don't have a
clarify.
problem with the
clarify.
Quran.
I like to
No,
clarify.
there's no
I like to
problem.
clarify, your brother.
So you believe in the Quran to be the word of God?
No, but
Also, so there is a problem.
But it's the same
I
with the
don't have a
Bible. It's the
problem.
same
No. It cannot, unless and until you have read both the Quran and the Bible, then only you can say it's the same. But if you haven't read them both,
I did.
then you cannot. You read the
And
Quran?
I read the Torah.
You read the
And
Quran?
I believe that all of those books
Yeah.
are beautiful books,
similar.
but they're interpretations of human beings. Like, it's about how we interpret those books. It's about the people that wrote them down.
Okay, so you're saying you read the Quran.
Yeah.
Can you remember anything you read from the Quran?
Yeah.
Like?
Are you testing me?
No, I'm not. I'm just asking if you remember anything. Because something that you remember normally is important to you. So what do you remember from the Quran?
Like, I believe that all the three books that I read.
No, what have you read from the Quran that you remember?
What do you mean what I remember?
You said you read the Quran.
Anything like me, look, I pick up something.
Yeah, no,
from Bible.
that's simple. You said you have read the Quran.
Yes.
Am I right? Is there anything that you remember from what you read of the Quran? Simple question.
About Prophet
Anything,
Muhammad,
anything.
about
Doesn't matter, anything. Anything that you remember that you
any
read,
words. I don't remember any words. I'm sorry.
you don't remember anything that you have read from the Quran.
I do. Like, what exactly do you want me to say?
Anything that you remember.
You got the gist of it, I think.
I'm sure she got. Look, I'm not putting you in a tight corner because there are many.
You are.
Well,
How many times do you have to read it?
I'm sorry you felt that way, but there are many people who make this general statement that I've read the Bible, I've read the Quran, I've read this. When you actually haven't read the Quran.
No, she has read.
Yes?
She said, Seiko,
Yes?
she's not lying. Why is she
Okay.
lying?
So no.
Like, what I actually
No.
found the
You
most-
might have heard
Can
it from
I
someone.
say something?
Yes.
What I found the most impressive
Yeah.
about actually the Muslim culture, because I have some very close friends.
Culture or religion?
Religion.
Okay.
I'm sorry,
That's
excuse
fine.
me.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Was that, like, I talk to my friend a lot,
Yes.
who's like relatively strict Muslim, and she told me that they recognized Jesus as a prophet, and I felt that that was so cool. Like honestly, I didn't know that.
Why do you think it's cool?
Because we don't really recognize Muhammad in that way. And
Oh, I see.
found that
Do you come from a Christian background?
Yes.
Okay, so that's why you think because we believe as Muslims. By the way, yeah, that is a
I
very
found that very
yeah,
nice.
that is a very good
That was
point.
the reason why
Absolutely,
I
yes.
decided to read.
That's a very good point you made there. By the way, it is not only Jesus. We accept all the prophets,
Yes.
including Muhammad,
And I found
Jesus,
that very
Moses.
respectful in
Yes,
that religion.
and if you look at the mother of Jesus, do you know there is a chapter named after Mary? The entire chapter.
Yes, I found it
And do
very-
you also know this fact that the only woman mentioned by name is Mary in the Quran?
Well, that isn't actually impressive because you should mention
More
more
women,
women
maybe.
by name than
It's
Mary.
got nothing to do with
But you know,
just,
in
no
the
wait
world, you do not have-
wait. It has got nothing to do with disrespecting women because the women who have been mentioned in there, maybe not by name,
This
yes,
Bible,
they have been referenced in the most utmost of
about 100 years old.
reverence.
Yeah?
But one second.
You go here.
In the most utmost of reverence, they have been mentioned.
No, don't be. Look.
It's got nothing to do with not
Don't be,
mentioning by
don't be
name.
nervous. No. Don't be. We all.
Look,
take us like your brother.
we all like to make a
No,
statement
we
that
know, we
all the religions are good, all of them have good
No.
things. But you see, ultimately, there can be only one truth because there's only one God.
Only one God. You can't
Because
have
look,
many gods.
I'll tell you why.
It's the same God.
No, it's not same. I'll tell you why. Look, in Christianity, if you do not believe that God exists as a Trinity, if you do not believe Jesus is God, the Holy Spirit is God, and the Father is God, you cannot be a true Christian. Okay? Well, I'm saying majority, the mainstream Christian at least. Okay? Yeah, exactly. We're talking about the mainstream here. So the mainstream Christians, if you do not believe in the Trinity, then you cannot be a true Christian. In Judaism and Islam, also Abrahamic faiths, if you do that, then you are blaspheming God. So we cannot say that all religions preach the same thing about God. No, they do not. There is clearly differences. That's the reason you have all these differences in the world whenever it comes to... You see, the Christians have churches, Muslims have mosques, and the Jews have synagogues.
Yeah.
Did you know this? I don't know if you knew this.
Yeah, we know.
You know? I haven't even mentioned the point yet. Okay.
No, we know that they have.
Yes,
Yeah,
I know.
okay.
So the point is this. The Jews can pray in a mosque if there is no synagogues. Yes? But they cannot pray in a church.
Okay, that's
Are you aware of that? Okay? Now this is not teaching intolerance, but this is to do with the belief, with their ideology, with their religion. Because they do not consider as any human being or any created being as someone to be worshipped. Because if you go to church, you'll find a statue of Jesus, or you might find a cross. Yes? We have to bear that in mind, because from a Jewish perspective, making images of God is completely for Islam. So you see, in Islam and Judaism, even though in news media they show that the Jews and the Muslims are as loggerheads and the Christians and Jews are friends, but when it comes to the religion, the theology, there are many things very common to Islam, especially when it comes to belief in one God and not associating partners with him. Yes, it's something very united between the Jews and the Muslims. But then, when you talk about Jesus, you see that the Christians raise Jesus, most Christians, not all, just in case you misunderstand, okay? Most the mainstream Christians, they raise Jesus to the same level as God. Yes?
no. They say
Jesus.
Jesus' son.
No, you don't know the faith properly, that means. The mainstream Christians, are you come from a Catholic or Protestant background? Protestant, yeah. So all the Protestants and the Catholics, they believe that Jesus is not only the Son of God, but God Himself.
Incarnate.
And that's the reason, you know the Trinity?
Yeah.
Father, Son, Holy Ghost, all the time, co-equal.
Yeah.
Yes, what does co-equal means? You're equal to God. That's what it means. It doesn't mean just son of God. Okay? You don't think you went to a church very often. Yes, I'm coming. Yeah. The point I'm trying to make is that all religions do not teach the same thing. They have very clear, major differences. Like for example, Jesus, like I told you, in the case of Christianity, they raise Jesus to the level of God or worship Him as God. In Judaism, they completely reject Him, even as a Messiah, even as a prophet of God, even as a messenger of God. Yes, they reject him, let alone as God or Son of God. Islam takes a middle ground. We neither go to the extreme of making him God, nor do we go to the extreme of completely rejecting him. We take the middle ground, i.e. in Islam we believe that he's a Messiah. We believe that he's one of the mightiest messengers of God who brought the message, who brought the Injil. Okay, and we also believe that he will come in the second coming, which again the Jews do not believe in, the Christians do believe in. But we believe that the second coming is going to come as a purpose, because he's got a two-faced task. The first task was for him to give the message to the Jewish people and the Jewish nation, and the second time he'll come to basically kill the Antichrist. That is Islamic.
Matter to us?
That is Islamic perspective.
I want to know. Why is it relevant?
I'll tell you why. Because earlier this lady here made this statement that
Stop. I never made any statement.
it's on camera. You can check it out. Made the statement that all religions teach the same thing.
No,
okay?
I never
They don't.
said. I never said. I said it for me personally.
Okay, I see.
I believe that's the whole.
Okay, you believe what?
thing.
Go on.
I believe that we all should be grateful, and that is what religion can help us with.
No, when you say grateful, of course we have to be grateful. Grateful to whom?
Like
To
whatever you want to be grateful for.
What about being
No,
grateful
no.
to God? Should we be grateful to God, the Creator?
I'm coming to that. Yeah, Muhammad Jazak.
That's up to the
Okay,
individual.
so when you say when you say to whomever, can you be grateful to the Satan?
Yes.
You can say it.
If you want to.
You see the importance of the question, because when you say grateful to anyone, anything, because many people
If you want to be
consider
grateful to Satan, you
consider
can be grateful to Satan.
football players as their gods. They think these guys are our heroes. They think about
Some
them.
worship money.
Yes, so many things.
The Gnostic Christians thought that the God was the
But you ask
demiurge.
a
He was the
question why it
Satan.
is important to you.
Yeah, we are not
the
talking about-
problem is, as a whole, the
Why
Western
would-
countries taken Jesus as God.
But that's
So
all right.
the
let them
Christians,
run
the
with it.
Christians.
Can't you let them
Christians.
speak?
So when he come, he's
is it
going
true
to
to do?
clarify that.
Okay.
He's going to clarify that to the Christian world.
So what will happen to the Christians if they?
What happened?
Or the atheists.
But it will be too late for them, in my view.
Let's not
your
fast forward.
view,
Let's go
yes.
one step at a time. Okay, so basically, do you believe in God?
No.
You?
Yes.
You?
Sort of.
You didn't make up your mind yet. How long you been coming to Speaker's Corner?
Okay, look, I believe in the first cause. It's eternal. Yes.
Good. So you believe in God.
If you want to call it God, you can. Yeah.
You don't want to
I
call it
think,
God?
yeah,
Because
that's
there's so many connotations with the word God.
like I like to call it universe. Like,
Universe.
Yeah, universe.
The universe cannot create itself.
No, it's not. I don't
Well,
mean universe in a
Can it?
in a
It depends if
scientific
it is that
sense.
No.
singularity.
So
But for me,
even in a logical sense, can it create
I
itself?
don't want to pray to male God. That's my point.
Oh, are you sexist?
have a male God.
No, I'm not
Why you say,
sexist.
why you say male
Goddess
God?
is better. Yes, that's God.
No, not goddess. Just
A genderless thing.
Young lady,
By the way,
why you say male God?
wait.
Why you say male God?
By the way, do you know that Allah is the name of God to reference the only one true God. So you cannot use the word Allah for false gods. Like the way you use the word God, you know, in English you can say false gods, true God.
G, small g,
Then you can have goddess, you can have God, then you can have gods plural. So you see the same word has masculine, feminine, has gender, has plural, has false and true both. The same word God can be used for all this. But you
that's
see,
the problem.
yeah, in Islam, there's a very clear distinction between the name, not the word. It is actually the name of God. This name of God is called Allah. Allah doesn't have plural. Allah doesn't have a masculine, feminine gender in the sense. But obviously because of the language, we have to identify as a he, because there is no it in Arabic. You get me? In English you have it, like this. If you talk about the tree,
Why not just change between he and she then?
no, that's too confusing.
Wow, that's
Wait, will you not? You know what?
It's not a gender word.
Yeah. By the way, first and foremost, you need to realize that God, this word Allah, yes, it doesn't have the gender like in the sense.
but it is he.
No.
So it
But like I said, in order for you to, in order for
I
you,
don't want
brother, I'm
to-
coming. In order for you to understand, yes, because like I said, in Arabic there's
Turn
no
that light
it.
the other way, man.
It's a bit
bright. Come
uncomfortable
on.
for
Yeah.
Let's make it nice. Let's make it.
Why we call the sun he,
Okay.
the moon she? Why we call it male and female?
I don't call them
did,
moody
No, 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 no.
or
The ship, the ship. We call her. The she, we call her.
Yeah.
Is a female.
No,
But
but
I think the sun is a bit like God is a bit more important to most people.
We don't have
than,
in
like,
Arabic is not he because we don't have other way to explain.
okay,
other than
let me
he.
ask you guys. What is the problem if God is a he?
I don't think God has a gender.
Exactly, which I told you already. So there's no issue. If God doesn't have a gender, then there's no issue, right?
Yeah, no, the problem with saying he is
Yes.
that our culture is male dominated.
It's not male. We call the sun is a male or female. The sun is.
Then why do you say he
Why
if
we
he's
no,
not
in
male?
English,
Brother,
why we call the sun?
brother, I'll explain to that. Listen. I've already told you.
Okay, yeah.
I've already told you
I
that
probably can't
that-
understand because I
that-
don't understand
that
language.
the term Allah doesn't have a gender in the
Yeah.
sense which you think of gender.
Yeah.
Okay? The reason most of the translations use the word he,
Yeah.
because like I said in Arabic there's no it. Okay?
Then why not use she?
no, because automatically in Arabic it comes as he if it doesn't have a gender. This is the language, nothing to do with gender in the sense that you think as being high or low.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, yeah.
So for example, for a table, tawla, I think that's a she in Arabic.
You can call it.
Yeah, so there are many objects, like I don't know if you know French. I think in French also has the word,
Yeah, I don't know French,
yeah,
but yeah.
le and la, depending on whether the table is a male or
It's the
female.
same in
Yeah.
our language.
So some languages have this gender to objects, non-living objects. So that's why I'm saying this might be confusing to English-speaking people,
Yeah.
but for those people who have gender for objects in the language, it's perfectly normal.
Okay.
Okay, so now let's get back to, so the word Allah doesn't have plural, it doesn't have gender, it doesn't have anything, it doesn't give reference to anything as a false God, it's only referred to as for the one true God. And that is fixed. And that's why we have no confusion in English with regards to all these things which you have a problem with in other religions. So earlier I was telling you about the reference to Jesus is in different Abrahamic faiths. One goes to the extreme of labeling Jesus as God, another goes to extreme of completely rejecting God. The Muslims do not reject Jesus, neither do they put him to the level of God. Okay, so since you are a Christian and you are not, okay, at the end of the day, I think, have you considered, have you considered, as you not believing in God, have you considered this notion where one day, I think this is regardless of whether you're Muslim, Christian, Jew, believer in God, non-believer in God, atheist, agnostic, one thing which we all know, which is a fact, is that we'll die one day.
Yeah.
Yes? No one can deny that. No one can deny that. We'll visit your grave, don't worry, if you go before us. So what I'm saying is this is something which anyone with intellect cannot deny. Yes? That one day every living soul or every human being that we know of will die one day.
Yeah.
And this is something that so have you, as someone who doesn't believe in God, someone who does believe in God, have you considered what will happen to you after you have died?
Of course, but I don't care. I literally
Liberated
don't care.
person.
I literally don't care what happens to me when I die.
Does that mean nothing will happen?
No, it means I don't care. I don't know, and I don't care either.
Okay. When you say you don't care,
Liberating.
no, it's not about liberated. This is basically this is something I call. Some people consider ignorance as bliss. So you don't want to know and you don't care to know.
Yeah.
Ignorance is not always bliss.
But now it is, I think.
Especially now in the age of communication, in the age of the internet, ignorance is a choice.
Yeah, it is.
You get it?
But I mean, it's only regarding my death, so it
No, of
doesn't-
course.
It doesn't have to do
You know
with
what?
anyone else.
Your
so why
death,
is it a
her
problem?
death, his death, to me, it's important. You know why? Because I would like to save you from eternal damnation.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yes. So and I would save my friend here and this lady here and everyone here if I could.
Great enough to save me from eternal damnation.
No, not me. No,
Why?
wait. When I say save means in the sense that it's always God who saves, not me personally.
As a
Okay.
gay man,
But at
can
least,
you
but
save me from eternal damnation.
Okay, let me give you this scenario. Imagine we live and we die one day.
Yeah.
Yes? Imagine your worldview, i.e. there is no God and no life after death, is true. Yes? Imagine this for the sake of argument. Now you tell me, if I and you
Yeah.
die, then based on your scenario,
Yeah.
we have not lost anything, have we? Neither you nor me will lose anything. If nothing happens to us after death, it'll be ashes to ash, dust to dust, whatever it is. Yes. Now, the converse.
Betting man.
Yes.
What
But
happened?
I didn't say that was the thing that was going to happen. I said I didn't know.
No, that's fine,
And
that's
I
fine.
can't
That's
know,
fine.
You
so I
don't care.
That's fine.
right? You don't care.
That's fine. But I'm saying
Ends the argument.
But
if
it's a wrong place to regret, innit?
if there was nothing there, yes. Okay. Now the converse of
Your
this.
philosophy is based on fear, and she's sort of liberated.
You
from
can't
that,
come
in my
back,
opinion.
innit?
Yeah, but you see, sometimes
You can't come
fear
back.
can save your life.
You see, there's an example.
If
When
you-
I was
personally, I
a
don't
child,
think God
yeah,
is-
when I was a
If you
child.
think
condemning God,
if you think that there's no one to harm me, so I'm not going to look behind. Nothing's going to happen to me. Sometimes that can be detrimental to your life. You see what I mean?
But there's
Maybe you're
nothing
dead.
I can
It doesn't mean you're liberated.
Yeah.
You might be killed.
Yeah, but
okay. So, but
you might be killed too. Who knows?
exactly. But at least if I'm cautious,
you're taking-
that look, if I know there's danger behind me,
Yeah.
yes, and I'm cautious, then I will look behind to make sure. By the way, no, I know you're no danger. Just making a point here.
Yes.
So what I'm saying is that if you are careful enough to look around, use your common sense, use the intellect that you have been given, and then you make a decision, then that would be more wise. Do you agree? Just because you don't
think God
care
will be-
about
You
something.
think God will be pleased about that, though, when you get
About
there
what?
and say that you believe in Him because of fear.
Yeah,
No, it's not just
I
fear.
think-
It's
but
hope and
why-
fear.
why
Well,
are
yeah,
we-
but you
Who
think
told you it's
there'll
only
be-
fear?
Why are
Let
we
me say
talking
that.
about the future? Why are we talking about death? Why are we talking
Because it's inevitable.
Stop. Why are we talking about fear if instead we could be talking about gratitude? If instead
And
we
love.
could be talking about love, about what is right now, about what we can do
It's all
right
fear.
now?
Shall I tell you why? Shall I tell you why? Because what you just told me,
Frightened,
Come on.
because what you just told me is something that all human beings do anyway.
No.
You know? Oh, okay, not all. Okay, most at least.
No.
Look, there are. I think many people are good people, and they do think about good things, about the things that they have to care about the neighbors, be good friends, have a good communication, be good to your friends, and so on. So at the end of the day, what I'm saying is that this is something that we already think about. What many people do not think about is death. Because you know earlier, trust me, many
so
don't.
afraid of death.
Everyone thinks of that.
No, trust me. There was a gentleman I just met earlier. He's saying that is so morbid. That is something. Why should you think about it? I never even think about it.
okay.
Even sometimes when I go to funerals, I don't think about it. I said, really? Are you
Is
for
that
real?
okay or not? Is that allowed?
Of course, it's allowed.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, you have a right to do that. But what I'm saying is that ultimately,
Yeah.
we have to realize that this life we live in is going to
Yeah.
end one day.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now the question is, have you prepared for the other life, the life after death?
But
Not
how
through-
do
not
you know
through
what
fear.
the other life is?
No, I told you. Remember earlier I told you,
Yeah.
if there is no life after death,
Yeah.
then we have no problem.
Maybe if you live
Okay,
your life.
so let's.
But
But
we
you
have
didn't
no-
carry
we have
on.
no-
I want to hear.
Oh yes, yes.
I want to
I
hear
asked you about the flip side.
Yeah.
The flip side is if there is a God,
Yes.
and if there is a life after death,
Yes.
then certainly you will know that there was consequences
Yes.
for leading the life the way you wanted, with your own desires, what you thought was right. Yes, with complete disregard to what God has told you to do.
God.
The one true God.
But you have to understand there are many different cultures with different
Yeah,
understandings
but can
of
we?
God.
I'm a Muslim. Can
I know, but you have to
Okay,
understand there are many ways.
That's fine. You can talk. You can have many different talks with the other people.
Okay.
But you see, I cannot
you gotta-
advocate for all the gods out there. I will advocate for the God that I believe in, and that I have read about, and the God that I know is the one true God. If you want to talk about all the other gods, you're more than welcome to do.
Well, that's
What
the
will
conversation
happen
we're
to
having.
me?
That's why
Yes,
I'm
yes.
throwing that
But
in there.
that's what I'm
You know
saying.
what will happen to
I want to know. I want to finish this point. That's the reason I'm saying. So the point about, let's see if there really is a God, and there really is a life after that, and then you really know there is a hell and a heaven too. So there is consequences and reward
Yeah.
for the actions that you have committed in this life. Otherwise, people, there are many people out there who commit grand crimes, murder, rape, pillage, you name it, and they never ever have to face justice because they think they have actually played the system and got away with it. And there are many good people out there whose name you do not even hear, and they might be very charitable, very good, very kind, very merciful to other people, but many people haven't even heard of them. Some of them even haven't seen them, because these people are the true, true righteous people, in the sense that they want to do something without making a name for themselves, without vanity, without showing off, and they want to do it for being righteous person, for aiding the people that they're helping, and that's about it. That's the reward. You see, God Almighty is just, and He's going to punish that person who thought he got away from the law, and He's going to reward that person who thought that nothing ever was given to him in return for the services that he has or the charity that he has done in this life, or the kindness that he has shown.
Would you be a bad person without Islam, do you think?
I don't think so.
You think that inherently you're a good person?
By the way, I do not say that you need to have a religion to do certain things which are good, which is common understanding, like do not murder, do not steal, do not kill.
Mother has an inherent
do
love
not.
for a child, right?
You
It's
know,
inherent, shouldn't
you
it,
know
to
what
read
this?
books, right?
This is something innate. We call it the fitrah. This is God has programmed this in you. Even if you do not believe in God, yourself will tell you when you try to steal something. Not that I'm saying you're trying to do. Yes, but your innate self will tell you that is wrong.
Yeah.
Yes, even if the cameras are not looking,
God
and
will
even
know, right?
and even if the police is not there. Yes, and even if the shopkeeper is not looking, you will realize what I'm doing is wrong the first time. The second time might be a bit easier for you. The third time might be getting easier. As you go along and doing it, a point comes where that you don't even think it's wrong. It doesn't even compute there anymore because now you have actually indoctrinated yourself to such a point that no, I'm basically such a professional that I can do it without being caught or something. By the way, nothing to do. So what I'm saying is that this is called the fitrah. This is something innate, programmed into every human being. However, there are many things which are subjective. Yes, which you might consider right and you might consider as wrong, and what might be acceptable to you might be completely rejected as unacceptable by somebody else. Now, how do you reconcile that without God?
But again, it
Why do I
depends
have
on the
to?
God. I mean, different cultures have different gods.
Why do you have to reconcile it?
I'll tell you-
I think something is wrong, he thinks something is
I'll tell you
right.
why.
We
Speak
can
for a
talk
bit,
about
man.
it,
Come
we
on.
can discuss it, and if we don't find a solution, maybe we don't have to all the time.
Okay,
We
do you-
can't always all agree.
Do you think that works all the time?
We don't have. We don't, as I said, we don't always have to all agree.
No. I'm asking. Okay, I'll give you a scenario.
Okay.
In Islam,
100
there's not
years-
agreement, is there?
Yeah.
No, in terms of the major, what do you say?
There's always division. In
No.
religion.
There are things which are peripheral
honest here.
for which there is disagreement. But in terms of the major beliefs, like the oneness of God in the Quran, in the Rasul, these things are very much firm in all the different sects of Islam. Okay, this is something which they're united on. What they differ on are other things, which I wouldn't say is unimportant all the time. Many things important also, they have differences. But the majority of them, the mainstream Islam, which is the Sunni Islam, they agree upon these things clearly. Now, with regards to you're saying that what is the problem? We can just discuss about it.
But listen up. Regardless of what you think is right, sometimes people do different things. So you might agree in Islam and we might agree in Christianity or Judaism that some things are right and some others are wrong, but still people do things even though they think they're wrong and they know they are wrong. It happens. People don't, because where you're going wrong is that you think that people only do things that are wrong and they think they're right, but sometimes people know that they're doing something that is wrong. I mean, we've all done it. We've all done things that we knew
me.
before.
But you know,
Okay, let me-
that's my little joke, by the way.
Most of us have done things
Okay,
that
let me
we
give you-
knew were wrong, and we did them anyway.
One second, let me give you an example.
Where's the conversation going?
Yeah, I'll tell you
want
what-
to save us from damnation, or is there any point?
No, it's not up to me to save you. It's up to God.
He's trying to save us from damnation. That's the subject.
It's up to God.
I mean, it will be
Okay.
hard, but
At the end of the day, it is your actions which will determine whether you'll be saved or not in this life. Okay, so it's not up.
not letting me finish because my sister is disabled and my mother knew in her womb that she was disabled. And you
haven't-
think
you haven't let me finish.
Killed her
You haven't let me finish. Why are you getting upset? Calm down. Sorry.
Because
Nothing personal.
It's an
because
emotional
that's what she
conversation.
said.
No.
She said that's
Let's
a
try to keep the
different thing.
respect.
But earlier,
That's-
hold on.
I have a disabled sister. I have a disabled sister.
Earlier, you were okay with the abortion.
I'm okay with abortion.
But now not with the
I
disabled.
think it's not a different thing. I think
No,
you
hold-
can say abortion is not okay for
Okay, hold on.
not disabled
hold
people,
on.
but
You need to realize one thing. I myself do not consider children who are not even disabled, who are not even the product of rape.
Because we are not ready.
Brother, wait 1 second. Let me finish the point. Majority of the abortions which happen in this country is because of unplanned pregnancies. You see what I mean? It's not because of these exceptions.
how is it your
fun.
problem?
How is it my problem?
How is it your problem?
Okay, how is that girl who
not
got
a girl.
killed? That girl. I didn't say you.
you pointed my way.
Oh, I'm pointing this way. Don't take everything personally. A girl or a boy who has never been born, who has never seen the world, yes, has been put to death in the belly of that mother.
But it's not your choice.
I didn't say it's my choice.
You don't even know
I
what
said,
it feels like to be pregnant.
I said, whose right is
Then
it?
you should think before you go having.
What kind of a question is that? Wait. In order for
Protection in it, you.
no, honestly,
You get pregnant, then you want abortion. That's no good, innit?
no, Habibi, even with protection, extramarital sex is haram. So let's not go there.
Haram, yes. It's in Islamic.
You're saying, who am I? I and you are nobody. Yes, we cannot change these laws by ourselves individually. What I'm saying, the point I'm trying to make, which you also misunderstood, is this: that these things in our society, which I clearly see as murder in the belly of the mother, many people here consider it to be basically insignificant.
Yeah.
You see the point I'm making?
That's
I
it.
don't
Not
think
talking-
that people are considering it insignificant.
Oh yes, they are.
No, I think
No one is talking about it.
everybody
Very
that
few
has
people are talking about it.
that I
Loads
know
of people are talking about
has
it.
suffered from it.
But let's
Like
be
every
honest,
single
young lady.
person, it's like a
Here,
rough decision.
mass majority of people, women support abortion.
People don't just go
You
there. It's
and
not
me.
like going
We
shopping.
accept-
They think about it.
No, people.
Well, of course they think about
people
it.
with morality.
But what I'm saying
they
is that
accept
if you look at the
that
amount
raping, all
of
that,
abortions that take
abortion
place in
is
this
alright.
country, thousands, 2,000 per
Because
day
you
or
are not
something,
ready
maybe
to
more
bring a
even.
baby, you
Yes,
kill
it
it.
just shows how they are basically been indoctrinated by the society.
example,
That is
just for
nothing is
example,
insignificant in a
Just for
way.
example,
Okay, I
I'll
think
just give an example. If you have a daughter,
I have to go and pray, yeah, inshallah.
Yeah, Maghreb.
Yes. You want to continue?
and said she's pregnant.